Good evening. Welcome to Hungarian Public Media's News in English, Hungary Reports. I'm Hajnalka, bringing you today's news from Hungary and the Carpathian Basin. Let's get started. More bodies were found in the Danube 8 days after the ship catastrophe in Budapest. One of them has been identified as one of the 2 Hungarian crew members who were on board. Authorities are still looking for 9 victims. The investigation is still ongoing. The public prosecutor's office has confirmed that the hotel ship's Ukrainian captain also caused another accident in the Netherlands a few weeks before the crash in Budapest. He was also accused there, but wasn't detained and was allowed to continue working.
This footage shows the last moments before the accident. The huge hotel ship plowed into the small tourist boat in seconds. The Mermaid sank in just 7 seconds under the Margaret Bridge. The Ukrainian captain of the hotel ship was arrested last Saturday. The Budapest prosecutor's office said on Thursday that the captain of the cruise ship deleted data from his mobile phone right after the collision. The exact content of the data is not known. This is an issue to be further investigated. However, the fact and time of data deletion suggest that the pre-trial detention is justified because if he were allowed to pay bail and let go, the suspect could make it more difficult for the prosecutors to investigate a case, the deputy spokesperson said. The Budapest prosecutor's office also confirmed that it wasn't the captain's first accident. He was also the captain of the hotel ship, which, despite repeated radio warnings, crashed into an oil tanker in the Netherlands at the beginning of April with 171 passengers on board. Meanwhile, the authorities search for the victims continuously, inspecting the entire southern section of the Danube River. On Wednesday night, a new body was found near the Liberty Bridge. Thursday afternoon, the police confirmed that the man was one of the passengers of the Mermaid sightseeing boat. With this, he is the 16th South Korean victim of the ship accident. The 17th victim was found near the Rákóczi Bridge early Thursday night. New bodies rose to the surface of the river at Ér during the day and at the Budapest section of the Danube in the evening. In accordance with international standards, the corpses are being examined jointly by Korean and Hungarian experts at the Department of Forensic and Insurance Medicine at Semmelweis University. The leader of the South Korean team working on location said that if they were unable to identify a body on the basis of photographs, they would examine the victim based on DNA, their teeth, or fingerprints. Experts emphasize that this type of identification takes time, but they are able to record fingerprints suitable for identification from victims who had been underwater for several weeks. The Mermaid sightseeing boat carried 35 passengers on board, 33 South Korean citizens and 2 Hungarian crew members.
The court of the second instance in Szeged has begun its trial in the so-called deadly truck case that led to the death of 71 people. A crime organization made up mostly of Bulgarians took illegal immigrants to Austria and Germany regularly in 2015. At the end of August, they locked up a larger group of people into a refrigerated truck that couldn't be opened from the inside. The passengers pounded on the truck's walls in vain. The smugglers didn't stop, and everyone in the back suffocated soon after. Despite that, the truck continued on to Austria. At the first instance, the prime suspects were sentenced to 25 years in prison, but the public prosecutor appealed for an increased sentence. Industrial production increased by more than 6% in April, according to the Central Statistical Office. Experts say that this rate will stay until the end of the year at least. Meanwhile, the government is planning ahead. They promise to create 8 scientific parks around 8 universities for several billion forints. With it, they hope to help the development of Hungarian businesses and to ensure that as many of them as possible be able to expand to foreign markets.
The Hungarian government increased its funding for research and development in next year's budget proposal. We will be spending 500 instead of 400 million euros on innovation, the state secretary said. It will continue to increase in the coming years as well. The number of scientists in higher education will also be expanded to carry out research that will strengthen Hungarian economic growth. In the period ahead, we are transforming Hungarian universities, the centers that produce Hungarian knowledge, in a way that the knowledge generated there can help our small and medium-sized enterprises in their renewal and make it possible for the challenges of global businesses, global value chains, or multinational companies to appear in this so-called university ecosystem, the State Secretary explained. In addition, according to the Ministry of Innovation and Technology, over the next 3 years, more than 520 million euros will be spent on the technological development of businesses to help them stand their ground on foreign markets as well. Some 280 million euros of the total amount will be non-refundable. The goal is, as the State Secretary put it, to make the Hungarian economy, and especially the industry, more resistant, since the latter was able to significantly increase its performance so far this year. According to the most recent data, the Central Statistical Office recorded an increase of more than 6% in April, which is one of the best such indicators in the European Union. The industry's current momentum could last until the end of the year, which is likely to help the Hungarian economy grow by around 4% this year, well above the EU average.
Families will receive more than 6.8 billion euros of funding next year. State Secretary Katalin Novák announced in Petőfiszállás in Bács-Kiskun County. The Ministry of Finance presented its budget proposal for 2020 on Tuesday. According to the government's estimates, compared to this year, family funding will increase by altogether 680 million euros. With that, the Hungarian government will stay in first place in the EU for a country that spends most on families compared to their GDP.
Funding available in next year's budget proposal increased by 250% compared to 2010. If we look at the budget proposal for next year, we see that the amount of support for families exceeds 6.8 billion euros. Compared to 2010, when this amount was 2.9 billion euros, it's a 2.5-fold increase.
The train taking Hungarian pilgrims to the Csíksomlyó búcsú took off Thursday morning. Like every year, a small celebration was held for the passengers at several of their stops in Transylvania. This year is special because Pope Francis was in Transylvania last weekend, also at the so-called Csíksomlyó Hill Saddle, and the traditional Pentecost pilgrimage will also be held there this Saturday.
Believers arrived at Keleti railway station at dawn with lots of luggage. The pilgrims had 426 kilometers to traverse in 16 hours ahead of them. The train also worked as a moving church, since there are also priests and monks on the train. They prayed together, and anyone could confess if they wished. 900 people took this train to Csíksomlyó. There were young adults among the travelers who live in children's homes. They said that it's especially important for them to feel the joy of belonging to a community. The Boldogasszony pilgrim train arrived to Nagyvárad at noon. The Christians prayed and sang on the platform. Emotionally, this is a huge experience for us. It's especially a feeling of belonging together as a nation that flows through us. It brings us back every year, this pilgrim said. Hundreds of thousands made the pilgrimage to the Csíksomlyó Hill Saddle at the beginning of June, when Pope Francis came to visit. And they continue to arrive still, by bus, train, and even on foot.
Motor scooters have taken over the beaches of Lake Balaton. Zanka is hosting the Vespa World Days this year. The event lasts until Sunday. Organizers expect thousands of participants from dozens of countries. There will be a Vespa cavalcade where all of the Vespas head to Balatonfüred together, and a Vespa museum with original scooters manufactured between 1947 and 1970. Other than the classic scooters, visitors can also enjoy concerts each evening. Posters on display at the Híradó Agora in Kecskemét help viewers relive the 34-year history of the Kecskemét Animation Film Festival, or KOF. The first creation was made in 1985, and this year's KOF poster is also on display, since the 14th Kecskemét Animation Film Festival and the 11th Festival of European Animation Feature Films and TV Films will both be held in Kecskemét from June 19th to the 23rd. The exhibit of posters is on display until June 30th. That's all for today. Catch the English news every day around 11:20 p.m. local time or stream it anytime online. Coming right up are M1's other foreign language news broadcasts. Thanks for watching. Good night.